I prefer not to use a microphone.
Okay.
Can I test? Can everybody hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. I have a louder voice, so hopefully everyone in the room can hear me. Can I first just say, it is great to be back in the Philippines. It's been 8 years since I've been. Great to be back. Great to be back. And it's, although not completely COVID-free, at least life is a little bit back to normal. So fantastic to be travelling again, and I'm really excited today to talk to you about East Coast International College. So let me kick off and talk to you about our college in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and in particular the Continuing Care Assistant Programme. Halifax, if you don't know where Halifax is, a little tiny geography lesson. So New York, Montreal, Halifax is situated on the northeast coast of Canada.
Where is Toronto then?
Toronto is just around here. And Vancouver, of course, all the way. The clicker is not working.
There. It's the laptop. Figure it right. Where? It's the laptop. It's the laptop.
One more.
Ayaw.
I'll point it here.
Sorry, the laptop's there.
No?
Click there. Teen road click.
There we go. Okay. You've seen a little bit of Halifax, but I want to show you the real Halifax. No sound?
Okay.
That's okay. Let's skip past the video. Let's get to the detail. Okay. Oh. If I just press, okay? Okay. So, a little bit about East Coast International College. The college was founded in 1988. More recently, the college became part of Oxford International Education Group. We are an education group that operates programs and supports international students from all over the world coming to study a variety of different courses, be it English language, pathway programs, digital courses across the UK, USA, Canada, and online. In 2021, last year, East Coast International College became part of our portfolio, and they also launched the CCA program, which is the key program that I want to talk to you about today. It's not working again.
I think I'll just click
And have a
I'll leave it.
Yep.
Great. So, what is a continuing care assistant? A caregiver. A continuing care assistant is somebody who helps support those who aren't able to help support themselves. Normally that means supporting people in elderly care homes or supporting people who for whatever reason may have disabilities and may need extra care at home or in a care facility. That's fundamentally what a caregiver and what a CCA is. Why is there such demand for CCAs? Critically, there are not enough continuing care assistants in Nova Scotia. In fact, there is a gap, a current gap, that is only going to continue increasing of 2,000 care assistants just in Nova Scotia. You can see here there is a dramatic increase in beds, planned of 2,500 over the coming years, and the population is old and it's becoming more elderly. Meaning that although there is a current gap of 2,000, that gap is only going to increase in the coming years. I thought I would share with you, if we go on to the next slide, some media exposure that this has got in Canada. And here you can see one of the ministers in Canada talking exactly about that statistic, a gap of 2,000 continuing care assistants, specifically in Nova Scotia. So this doesn't refer to Canada. This specifically refers to the province of Nova Scotia. So this has been getting a lot of media attention in Canada. We're going to the next slide. As a result of this, and you can find this same article online, but the Nova Scotia government decided to look at solutions for attracting continuing care assistants and working with colleges to help do that, which is exactly why we're here today. Hopefully this gives you a little bit of background. If we go on to the next slide, part of what they introduced to help attract students to look at supporting this skills gap and to come and train to be a continuing care assistant in Halifax, they brought in a special immigration stream and study stream called the International Graduates in Demand Stream. There are only 2 courses that form part of this to help fill that skills gap, and as you can see right down here in very tiny print, nursing studies, which encompasses continuing care assistance. So if we go on to the next slide, why is it such a fantastic opportunity? Well, there is a clear need and a clear demand to help fill the skills gap. There has been a decrease dramatically over recent years, even prior to COVID, with the skills gap widening and the lack of availability of continuing care assistants. So actually this is a fantastic opportunity for people who actually want to work in this sector, who want to train in this sector and provide care, and also for people who are looking to change their lives and change where they want to live. Some of the course content, to give you a bit of an overview, encompasses about how fundamentally the course is there to help train and make sure people are qualified in providing empathetic care to those who need it. That includes all the things that you can see here on this slide, be it meditation, be it mental health, but also things, a lot of other important details that are all relevant, particularly to supporting the elderly. It's a really in-depth program to make sure students are well equipped. Students, of course, it's no good having a course to teach students how to become a care assistant if they don't get experience on their course to become just that. So part of the course provides academic and practical skills alongside being in the classroom. So of course students spend their first initial weeks in class, students then go on to a supervised placement, they come back to class and then go on to a less supervised placement where fundamentally they start putting their final training as being a CCA into practice before finally qualifying. CCA certification, So the course is there to prepare students for the final CCA exam. There's 3 exam periods every single year that students will go through. There's no exam fee. It's included within the tuition costs. The only time students may have to have an exam fee is if they don't successfully pass. Students get 3 attempts to pass the exam. But the course is there to make sure that they do just that. Career support, and I'll talk a little bit more about why the support we're providing is really unique. We do not believe that our students will have any problem in securing a job and a career as a CCA once they graduate from our program. I've already spoke about the skills gap and the amount of jobs that are readily available. You could go onto job sites such as Indeed or other job sites and find large listings for continuing care assistants. Finding a job in Nova Scotia to be a care assistant is not an issue. But critically, although students from the Philippines and all over the world who are looking to become a care assistant, we do have a career support team in the college to make sure students are supported in writing a CV and have necessary interview skills to make sure that they are best placed to find a job. However, we do believe that because of the skills gap, when students do a placement, it is likely that students will be offered a job as part of their final placement before they graduate, with the condition of them getting a certificate. So our guarantee, this is a really important point. Until the end of this calendar year, we are that confident that students will be able to secure a job. Students who start the course with us before the end of this calendar year, if they do not secure a job by the end of their program, we will refund their full tuition fee. We are that confident they will get a job. That should be testament alone to how big the skills gap is and our confidence in placing students into employment once they graduate. So let's talk a little bit more about the program. We have multiple intakes. The next available intake is November, but then there are intakes that run into January, April and September next year, because we are seeing demand and we believe this will be a very popular program here in the Philippines. We are considering opening up more intakes. So these are the intakes we have already, but we are potentially looking at increasing the number of intakes. It is of course delivered online. It's not delivered online, it's delivered in person. It's a full-time program. Really, this is not a part-time program. It's a full-time 40-week program, and the fees for the course are 20,000 Canadian. 20,000 Canadian dollars. Yeah. Typical classroom sizes. This is not a university-style teaching method with large lecture theatres. This is more small, intimate classes of 20 to 24. That's how we look to operate. There is an application fee that we look to ask students to pay. Part of that is also refundable later down the line. If we go on to the next slide. I spoke a little bit about this, but I thought it's always easier to show a little bit of a graphic. Critically, the student's journey. So weeks 1 to 18, they're in class. They're learning the theory, they're learning the academia of being a CCA. They then do a skills placement, which is more heavily supervised. So they'll go out to care homes. Predominantly they'll go to care homes. Although there are other care environments, they will spend most of their time in a care home on that placement. But that first placement in weeks 19 to 21 is generally more supervised. They then come back to class, take what they've learned on their skills placement, apply that the theory and the academia that they've learned, and then they'll go on a number of different work placements before they finish the program. There's work placements of them putting what they've learned on the course into practice in being a CCA. They then come back to class for the final week, before then taking their exam and graduating. That is the journey of training to become a CCA. If we go on to the next slide, let's give you a bit of an idea of, I mentioned the tuition fee is $20,000 for the program. But often students are wondering, or prospective students are wondering, what are the other associated costs? If you look at all the other associated costs, typically of living in Halifax, remember Halifax is not Toronto, it's not Vancouver. These are expensive places to live. Halifax is not as an expensive place to live. So for the full 40-week program, students will spend on average 32,000 Canadian dollars. Tuition fee, registration fee, living costs, everything you can see there comes to roughly 32,000. However, if we go to the next slide and we look at the annual income of what a CCA makes, on average, a continuing care assistant in Nova Scotia will produce an annual income of 38 to 40,000 Canadian dollars. So in less than 1 year, if we think about, if a student is thinking about a return on investment and thinking about what value is this course going to add, this is evident. The tuition cost plus the living cost of 32,000, the average CCA annual income of 38 to 40,000. A very clear and very quick return on investment from the training that the student gets to become a continuing care assistant. If you think a little bit about the admissions process and the journey that students will go on, so they'll first make an application online. There'll be a QR code at the end where they'll take you to the website, but you should have that in your packs, where students will make an application online. They'll then receive a conditional offer letter listing out all the conditions and documents that they need to supply. Students will then go through a program interview. Critically, this interview is looking to make sure that students know what it takes to be a CCA. Do they understand what it takes to be a caregiver? And of course, it's my belief that in the Philippines, that is well understood. This is because there's a lot of students studying care courses and health courses, but critically, a big part of that assessment is looking to make sure students know and understand what it takes to be a continuing care assistant. So they'll go through that interview, they'll then get their final letter of admission, apply for their visa, and then start the program at the next available season. So that's the admissions process. We go on to the next slide. There are, of course, language requirements. We need to make sure that, as this is a health course, of course, we know English proficiency is high, but we need to make sure that students are demonstrating at the right level of English to be engaging with people at all ages who require care. So it's making sure that they've got the right level of English, as you can see here. The really unique route about this program is, yes, there is a skills shortage, but this program, to help encourage students to look at more seriously at this program, there is a quicker route to PR in Canada. So this is the process. So I've talked you through the program and how the program works, and the last stage of that was graduation. So students now graduated and got their certificate to be a CCA. The student will then secure a job. We provide career services in the college to help students do that. And of course, they've been on a placement, who may be, and that placement and that care home may also be offering them a job. They apply for their work permit and submit their work permit. They then receive their work permit. Once they've then received their work permit, students can then submit an application for PR. This can take anywhere between 18 to 24 months. It's just the normal time frame. So for submitting an application, it then takes that amount of time to process and is then complete. Students under this scheme must remain in Nova Scotia for 2 years as a continuing care assistant as part of this arrangement and as part of the Graduates in Demand stream. After that, once students have received PR, they can go on elsewhere in Canada if that's what they choose to do. but critically they must stay in Halifax and use the skills and what they've learned in the programme to help support people in care in Nova Scotia. Great for people's lives. This opportunity really helps not just give people opportunity for themselves to migrate and train to become a CCA and work in that environment and have a route to PR in Canada, but actually a lot of students want to take their family. If they've got dependents, if they've got a partner, that is also possible, and we have already had students that have done that successfully. Of course, once people have also got, students have also got PR, so they've got their job, they've applied for PR and been successful, they are also then eligible to look at applying for citizenship and the path of citizenship in Canada. Accommodation is often a common question, so I thought we'd make sure we cover a few points on this. There's a number of different ways students can choose to live in Halifax. Some students, to get a real Canadian experience and help settle in and understand the local culture, choose to do homestay, so they stay with local families in Halifax. But of course, if people are looking at other options, are more independent or coming with family, often students choose apartments or service apartments as other means of staying and accommodating themselves in Halifax. And of course, I've already mentioned about the route to Canadian citizenship, as you can see there at the bottom, but this is really about changing people's lives. And if people are looking to migrate, if they're looking to train, to work in the care sector, this really provides such a significant opportunity for people to want to do that. And my final point, which hopefully you've all got details of in your packs, is we are running a free webinar. We've already had a significant amount of registrations, and we are looking at a second webinar. Details will be confirmed shortly, but this webinar is happening on the 19th at 7 PM. So if you scan the QR code, it will take you to the URL address, which you should have in your packs, which is at oicareercolleges.com/webinar. The webinar will be ran by Sheila Nunn, who is the College Director of East Coast International College, and she will be informing students about the process, the programme, and covering the details I've covered here today, but also in far greater detail as the College Director to what students can expect, not just of the course, but life in Nova Scotia, and how to train to become a fantastic CCA, to help support those in the community who really need help to help address that skills shortage. And that's it from me today. Hopefully you found this presentation